100 years before Christopher Columbus even set sail. But we still don't know what they were doing here. They don't seem to have been farming. So what was the site used for?
We need to get in here, take a look at these clues like forensically and see how we can piece them together. If we're gonna play detective, then I'm Starsky, you're Hutch.
I'm starting with the biggest clue the Vikings left behind, the footprints of the buildings. Many experts believe this was a temporary site, only used by the Vikings for a few years, at most a decade. But not everyone agrees.
There's an Icelandic academic, Bjarni Einarsson. He believes that occupation here was much, much longer. Based on his interpretation of the architecture of the various buildings, he's thinking that there could have been people coming here for 100 years.
It's controversial. The length of time the Vikings were here is still hotly disputed. To help discover the truth, I'm going to use a drone to make the first ever 3D map of the site. We'll be able to use this map to age the remains here by comparing them with known Viking buildings in Scandinavia.
It's never been done before, so this would be a great first. We're going to be able to contribute to the scientific body of information about Lanza Meadows. And this is like a dream come true.
As the drone flies over the site, it takes hundreds of detailed photographs.
The drone is incredible because you can take the individual images and build a high-resolution three-dimensional model. This is going to tell us quite a bit about the architecture of the individual buildings. The Vikings shifted their architecture over time. And perhaps by looking at the different footprints here, it'll say something about how long the site was occupied. If Bjarni is proven to be correct, it could force us to reevaluate everything we know about Vikings in North America.
I've crunched and processed the data, and I can't wait to show Blue what I found. If we can work out how long the Vikings stayed, it might shed light on why they were here.
What's up, bud?
Hey, dude. The results of the photogrammetry you're in? Take a look at this flyby. Wow.
This is the highest resolution map of Lanza Meadows ever created. It's so detailed that if there were any Vikings left, we could tell you what color their eyes are.
I have never seen anything quite like this. I mean, I've seen photogrammetry of small objects, but never of an entire landscape.
By adjusting the color balance, we can highlight elevation changes, which, for the first time in high resolution, allows us to see the exact design of each house.
What's cool is you can actually see right here in this picture, all three of the larger structures look completely different from one another.
They definitely have different layouts, different architectural styles. It's curious.
Now we have the data to test Bjarni Einarsson's theory. If he's right, it could mean the Vikings were in North America for much longer than anyone thought possible. These are the footprints of Viking houses built in Iceland in the late 10th century. After 200 years, the Viking era was at its peak and extended halfway around the world. It was around this time most archaeologists believed Lanza Meadows was first occupied. So the architecture of the houses on site should match.
That's identical.
It is almost. It's right there. Let's see what else we got.
This second house in Iceland is a style that came into fashion decades later in the early 11th century.
Look at that.
It's a match. This one only looks like it's got 2 rooms and a grand hall.
Yeah, it's almost identical.
It's possible that Lanza Meadows may have been occupied for much longer than some experts think.
Let's see what else.
Okay. This looks very different from the other examples you were showing me.
This final house style appears in Greenland around the 12th century. By now, the Vikings had merged with other European cultures. This is long after Lanza Meadows was supposedly abandoned. So this one shouldn't match, which it doesn't. But if I flip it...
Look at that, it's reversed. Wow.
It's pretty close.
Really close. I'm convinced that the eastern structure at Lanza Meadows was added later.
It really defies conventional wisdom.
This new investigation suggests the houses here have been built at least 100 years apart. Einarson's theory could be right.
This theory is controversial, but the implications are spectacular. It would indicate that the Vikings were here longer than we believed possible. This could change American history as we know it.